Hi, this is Joy Andreasen back once again for Woo Woo Wednesday. So, if you didn't see my last video, Woo Woo Wednesday is when I share about anything that has to do with spirituality, messages from what I call my higher guidance system. It could be guides, it could be angels, it could be a very wise ancestor. And sometimes I will use tarot, sometimes I will just talk about an aspect of what I do. But I really feel like this should be a platform for really just spreading light and love and comfort, and any messages that come through from the guides, I'm happy to share those as well. So if you have any questions or comments or subjects that you want to have me cover, I will be happy to do that. So today I just want to talk about what to do when life doesn't quite go the way that you would like, unexpected changes. And obviously, this whole year so far has been a year of unexpected changes. Our freedom seems to be in question, the freedom to go out and shop and go to the movies and go to public functions. Weddings and events and stuff like that are being canceled and there's a good reason for it. People are dying. And, there's a lot of controversy about that, about whether, it's any worse than the actual flu, which I think there's pretty much a lot of research that's showing that it is quite worse than just the flu. But, I'm not here to get into any arguments or anything like that. But in general, what happens when life doesn't go your way? What do you do? My dad, years ago, he told me about a preacher, a favorite sermon that he had. I don't even remember the preacher's name, but he called it divine interruptions. And that's what happens when, you're going along, your life seems fine, and something happens that interrupts your trajectory. It interrupts your plans, interrupts your goals. Life doesn't seem to be heading in the direction that you had envisioned for yourself. Last week I talked a little bit about the dark night of the soul, or the dark night of your identity, when your identity comes into question because your path forward seems blocked. A lot of things come into question, like, who am I without this specific thing in my life? So right now, maybe who am I without being able to go to work and earn a living in a specific way? Who am I without a loved one that may have passed? Who am I without a belief system that has failed me? There's so many things that can happen. For me personally, my biggest dark night of the soul was, who am I without the belief system that I had grown up in and that I had embraced for many, many years? And, that's what created within me that dark night. And I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was without the belief system that I had so much embraced, and it was so much a part of the fiber of my being. And so a lot of times we find ourselves in those kind of situations. Something happens that interrupts the natural flow of our lives, and it interrupts how we see ourselves. It interrupts just the way we live our lives. It could be a failed marriage. It could be an accident that puts you in the hospital. It could be a death in the family. It could be the loss of somebody that you love. There's so many things that can happen that will interrupt our natural flow of life. And when we come to those places, we have to give ourselves permission to feel our feelings. We have to be angry. We have to be sad. We have to grieve over our losses. Sometimes we feel like we don't have the right to grieve our losses. We don't have the right to be angry at a situation that has changed who we are. But it's really important to feel your feelings. It's really important to allow yourself to express those things that will interrupt your flow of life, that will interrupt the way you had been living your life. The thing that you have to remember is that when your life becomes interrupted, whether it's through choice or whether it's through an unexpected change in your life, it really takes time. You don't get over it in a day, a week. Sometimes, it takes years. Sometimes people never get over those things that interrupt their lives. And however long it takes, that's how long it takes. And so allow yourself the time to feel your feelings. Allow yourself the time to grieve your losses. Give yourself a break. But know that on the other side of it, there is a new path that is forging in front of you. There is something that you and you alone are meant to experience, something you are meant to do, something your soul is meant to have happen so that you can learn, so that you can grow, so that you can feel new feelings you didn't know existed. I remember when I was going through my dark night, there were feelings that I'd never felt before because I never allowed myself to. I lived under the assumption that feeling anger and feeling resentment and feeling bitterness, like all of those things they weren't allowed. And so I always stuffed them down. And, even today with like the law of attraction teachings and all that, I truly love law of attraction. And I truly do believe that what you resonate with, the vibration that you resonate with is you kind of draw those experiences into your life. On the other hand, what about those other feelings? Do you just stuff them down? Do you pretend like they're not there? No, you have to get them out. It's kind of like when you're planting a garden and you go out there, it's a piece of land that's never had a garden in it before. And instead of digging up that dirt and pulling out the rocks or whatever's there, you just start planting seeds. You just start planting seeds in this piece of land, this piece of ground that has never had a garden there before. You don't do that, right? First, you have to dig up everything that was already there. You have to pull out the rocks. You have to pull out whatever was growing there before, even whether it was grass or whether, whatever it was. You have to till up the soil. You have to, maybe put some additives in the soil so that things will grow there. There's a lot of things you have to do in preparation for planting those seeds. So if you're planting seeds of happiness and joy, but you're planting them into a land that has never been tilled up, that the old stuff has never been pulled out, guess what? You're not going to get much. You're just not going to get much. You have to examine the soil. You have to see, is the soil that these seeds that I'm planting, is it conducive to growing this sort of seed? For example, here in Virginia, where I live, I am not going to go out in my backyard and plant a banana tree or a peach tree. It won't grow here. And so there are certain things that you have to take into account that may stop your desires from coming forth. And a lot of times we have the idea that if we change our thoughts, if we start thinking and talking more positively, that we can achieve anything that we want. And although that is sort of true, it's also very true that before you do that, you have to examine those things that might be stopping you from achieving those goals. So in other words, if you want to create say you want to create a happy relationship, you want to fall in love, you want to get married, maybe have some children, and yet you're at the certain age where your heart's been broken. You've had some failed relationships. Maybe you had a bad relationship with your parents, or maybe, a significant other rejected you. Those are things that you have to deal with first. If you're still carrying resentment, if you're still carrying feelings of abandonment, if you still carry maybe a limiting belief inside of yourself that I'm not worth loving, you're never going to enjoy a happy relationship if you don't examine your soul and see what's in there and see what's keeping you from moving forward and experiencing the thing that you really want to achieve in your life. So I just want to encourage you today to take this time to really think about what it is you want to bring into your life, what maybe divine interruption has come and thwarted you from achieving that which you have desired, and maybe think about what things that could have happened that would be different from what your desired result would be, and why they may have happened, and what good has come from them. So I just want to thank you for being here. I hope you have enjoyed my little inspirational chit chat, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon.